I was a mercenary working for the Avalanche Gang. Awesome eco-terrorists who you'd probably want to bang. I got trapped in a reactor shortly after my last raid, and got shot into a slum where I could have gotten squayed. That's squirrel aids for anyone who's wondering at home. Anyway, I met a girl inside the Midgar zone. Her name was Aerith, and I soon became her bodyguard. She knew how to work a staff, and she made my body hard.
Okay, now, this is getting complex, so we're gonna move on to one of our other guests.
I knew that Aerith was a centric.
Excuse me, I was singing.
She could lead us to a promised land where energy was brilliant. I went to rescue her, but I was captured and detained. There I met Red 13, a talking lion with a mane.
Cloud.
The president of Shinra was shot by Sephiroth, a super evil Genova-style monster clone jerk-off.
Hey!
We learned about Genova, got our things, and then departed.
Wait, I'm totally confused.
I haven't even gotten started. We met...
Welcome everybody to the first Nerds Without Pants special of E3 2015. I am Julian, and I'm joined as always by Patrick.
You're about to get the good treatment.
And Angelo.
And I am way more hyped than I was last time we spoke.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, if I ever had the ability to delete an episode of Nerds Without Pants, I kind of wish that I could delete episode 73 because, as it was a fine episode, but I feel like we were a little more down than we probably intended to be, and then we have already learned just in 2 days of E3 coverage that we had no reason to be down.
Right?
I'm so high right now.
What did I put on Twitter today? It's like, I will eat my crow. I will feast on it. I think that's what I said. Give me the plate of crow.
Would that be like a flock of crows, like in Dishonored? Wait, does Dishonored have crows, or is it rats?
No, but I'll tell you when I tweeted that. It was about halfway through the Square Enix thing.
Yeah,
we're getting ahead, but go ahead.
We'll get to it. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do 2 specials for sure, possibly 3, because there's a lot to talk about. It depends on who we can rope in, because we won't have Patrick and Angelo all week. But what I want to do, just to kind of keep it somewhat organized, is just go through by the major press conferences. And now I should say that this is not going to be like a well-ordered list or anything by any means. I unfortunately missed most of the press conferences, and I've only been able to catch up mostly by just watching the trailers themselves. So, we're going to go in the order that they appeared, starting with Bethesda, which was on Sunday night, actually, and I totally missed that. But, Patrick, just go. Just go. I know. Fallout, man. Fallout.
Dude.
Oh, did you not watch the Fallout 4 stuff?
No, I haven't ever played Fallout.
Oh, I thought you were a Fallout guy.
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, you need to fix that.
You're more of an Oblivion guy.
Yeah, I'm just Elder Scrolls. I mean,
Elder Scrolls.
I like the idea of Fallout, but I don't know. Didn't like the way that the weapons looked in the last one, so I didn't play it. I gotta look at this one. I like the whole idea behind it.
Yeah, so I am not a Bethesda fan. I've tried to get into their games.
Pick me.
Go ahead, Angelo. I'll go after you.
It's all right. No, I've played most of the Elder Scrolls games, and I played Fallout 3, and I enjoyed them quite a bit. And Fallout 4, I was all right. Okay, Fallout 3 was fun. I don't know if I need to necessarily go back to this, and then Fallout 4 kind of convinced me that, yeah, there's definitely reason to go back to this. It's full of stuff. Some of it seems a little silly. I don't have an iPhone, but I heard the iPhone app that they were kind of, I don't want to use the word shilling, but they were like, yeah, check out this app, it's free, blah, blah, blah.
Well, does that have any bearing on the actual game? Or is
no,
it
I'm just saying, not everything in the presentation appealed to me, but
sure.
They actually started showing the game. The collector's edition with the oversized iPhone case that straps to your wrist that looks like a Pip-Boy, I'll pass on that. That thing looks huge. But
man, if I was a Fallout fan, though.
Exactly. There are people that were freaking gleeing all over whatever they were sitting on over that thing. So it was just amazing. The thing is, the actual game looks great. The graphics are, they're not as great as a lot of the other stuff we saw at the show, but Bethesda usually makes up for that in scale. And this game looked every bit as huge as the other Bethesda games. Fully voiced now, I guess we're talking, which has never happened before. Really great character customization. I could go on, but I I would assume the people that are listening to us have already seen this. I mean, Fallout 4 has been all over the internet ever since. And it looks great. So Fallout fans are very happy.
That was ingenious to leak it a little bit before E3 when everyone's, clamoring for something new and nobody else did anything. They had the spotlight to themselves for a bit.
It was kind of weird though, because with them having their own full-on press conference, which they haven't done in I don't remember how long, and that still being the biggest thing that they had, I was kind of surprised at that. I figured they probably should have led with Dishonored 2 and then had Fallout 4 be the big reveal at their press conference.
Fair enough. I mean, Dishonored 2 was kind of sandwiched in the middle, but that also hyped me up a lot because I love Dishonored. And it's so funny because it's actually moving in the same arc as Thief did. It's getting more technologically advanced, and, I mean, Thief 2 was called Thief 2 The Metal Age. So it's interesting. They're really kind of paying tribute to their roots. And it remains different enough to be its own thing, but I just think, they continue to kind of, tip their hat to their origins there. I mean, there's a lot of Looking Glass people in that studio, I think. I know Harvey mentioned he was at Looking Glass for a bit. So, would you prefer that they had tried to just flesh out the world of Dishonored more, make it its own thing? Would you prefer that, or do you kind of like the homage? So I like it. No, I like it. It's only an homage in that it's, like I said, it's like a tip of the hat more than anything else. It does not. It reminds me of the world of Thief in ways that make me go, oh, okay, yeah, I can see where you guys are coming from, but it's not Thief. It's I don't know. It's Dishonored. It deserves its own name. It deserves its own universe, and it is making its own, really. I don't know. I'm really excited for 3 games that they had at that press conference. Really excited for them. And I was just
what was
wow.
the third?
Oh, Doom.
Oh, I forgot about Doom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Dude, it's 80s metal.
Do you think it looks fast enough?
Awesome. Huh?
Do you think it looks fast enough, though?
I think it looks faster than Doom 3. I don't think it's ever going to be as fast as the PC games were, but I think that's kind of the price. That's where we're at right now. What's that?
Well, it's funny because I know a lot of the guys, especially on the Giant Bombcast, had been saying what is Doom today? What do you do? And I was thinking that myself. Is what do I even want? And then I saw, I was oh no, yeah, that's right about it. There's something to be said about still having a fast-paced, tons of dudes in a room that you have to deal with, no recharging health thing, the fact that he had to pick up health packs, I was yes, because I'm not great at first person shooters, but I like to be challenged in them, and I feel that a lot of times it's well, I just pull out of cover and try to shoot at guys and then get turned into Swiss cheese and then just pull behind cover, and it becomes very boring for me, where this is no, this is run and gun, this is fly by the seat of your pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, even so, I think Doom is more. If we're looking at the kind of games that are out there, I mean, Dishonored is a stealth game. It has high stealth elements. It does have combat in it, but on the flip side, Doom has always been about pressure. Always been about pressure from the word go. Doom 3 had a different kind of pressure, but I would say that it still never let off on that. And you just found yourself in situations where you're getting swarmed and you didn't know where these guys were coming from and you had to deal with it. I still think that, I don't know, I prefer the more classic style of Doom, and I think this is kind of going back to that. But I still like Doom 3 as its own thing. So, I mean, that leaned more toward the horror than Doom usually does. Doom 1 and 2 were, like I said, they were 80s metal games. They were horror in that sense of dramatic, heavy metal in your face, blood and demons and stuff. Horror, not horror as in it's dark, you don't know what's around the next corner horror. I mean, it had jump moments in monster closets, but I'm talking too much about Doom.
No, I don't think you are. I mean,
no, it makes me think it's actually better than I thought initially because it didn't remind me so much of it until I listened to your description of it. So that makes me feel
I mean, at least it had
more into it.
A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about didn't really have gameplay. Doom 3 did, and you can get a good idea of what kind of game you're going to get.
Doom.
Yeah.
You're going to get Doom. You're going to get freaking Doom, and it looks great.
The only thing about it that is kind of not even an issue for me, but I'm concerned, is that I felt that up until the Revenant shows up at the very end, the monsters that they were facing seemed kind of generic looking. You know, to me, they didn't have that iconic Doom look to them. Like, I know that, like, he was fighting imps because they were throwing the fireballs, but to me, they didn't look cool, if that makes any sense. I don't know. But it was going so fast also, and my connection wasn't perfect. So it's one of those things where this is actually a problem just in general, is the sense that YouTube can't display these games as nice as they look.
Right.
So you lose a lot in that. So take that for what you will. But like when I was watching, I was like, well, this looks awesome, like from a sheer gameplay point of view, but I don't know if these monsters look Doom to me.
I don't know,
man.
I
really dislike the way a lot of places are actually outputting the video, because I was trying to watch some of the trailers on the PlayStation 4 just before this, and they don't let you make it full screen. It's like you gotta like crouch up there. I hate that they do that. Like, you click on it and then it gives you the option to pre-order, but there's not like a full screen like version of the little video that you're seeing on like a third of the screen or something.
One of the worst features of the PlayStation 4 is like when they have their featured games and they have the first game that's like a nice big set of the screen, but then you go to like the other games and you literally cannot. It's like a little doorway, and they play the trailer in that, and you can't. Yeah, it's like you said, Pat. You can't enlarge it. It's like, what? Who okayed this?
And but Doom had the shotgun and the doors made the right noise, and I'm sold, man.
Yeah,
the doors made that noise.
And also, like, that little bitty puzzle solving part where he did that little, like, holographic playback of, like, events to find out that he needed, you know, the guy with the right handprint got dragged down the hallway. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty nifty.
Yeah, and you know what? No dialogue, no tutorials. It was just like, it explained it in a very simple way. It seemed like good game design. If the whole game feels like that would be really good.
Yeah, so. I agree. And real quick, to go back to Fallout 4 for a bit, you know, because like I said, you know, I have not been a big fan of Bethesda's games. I've tried so hard. You know, I played like 17 hours of Oblivion. You know, I've tried Fallout 3. I've started it from beginning like at least 6 times, and I get to Megaton, I'm like, snore. But Fallout 4, you know, I mean, it still has some issues. Like, I think honestly the character models look kind of compared to a lot of stuff these days, but the environments look beautiful. But honestly, you know what I think it is, Angelo, for me, is that having the voiced character makes all the difference.
Yeah.
For me. So it gives me more of an investment, to kind of keep going, and I'm prepared. The only issue, and we'll get to it later, but it's like, I think it's great that it's like one of the big games coming out this year, because there isn't really a lot coming out this year. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about is actually 2016. But it's coming up like right about the same time as another really huge RPG for my Wii U that I think looks a lot cooler. So we'll get to that later. I guess that's all we have.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Patrick.
What I'm really excited about for Fallout is something that I can't play in the end, because it's the mod community that they were talking about, and how they won't police it at all, or like will barely ever take things away. So it's going to be like free reign for everybody to put whatever they want into the game. And I love those kind of games, but I don't have a good enough PC to do that for a Fallout 4.
Yeah.
You know?
I think what would be really cool is if, like, next E3, or maybe at just their own event later on, like Bethesda comes out and says, no, you know what? You can download some of the most popular PC mods to the, you know, console versions.
That'd be amazing.
I want to talk real quick a little bit more about Dishonored, just because they have a new playable character now as a playable lead, and she looks like her powers are completely different, and that's kind of cool. Like, she actually kind of reminded me a little bit of what was that? It was The Darkness, like with like you just saw these like shadow tendrils shoot out of her all the time and grab things and pull her up. Nice. As opposed to like Corvo's blinking ability and that sort of thing. And I was like, a lot of it's speculation, but like, now you've got 2 protagonists. They mentioned you're going to have to choose. You can choose between her and Corvo, and it's like, man, what if at every mission you get to decide which one you're taking? What if you level them up individually? I mean, I'm excited, but I've got to kind of check myself, because I don't know how they're going to do this dual protagonist thing, but it's got a lot of really cool potential. So I'm looking forward to more Dishonored too.
you know it's a good E3 because like all of our faces they're like lighting up, like, so giddy when we talk about stuff. And you know, it's nice that the girl gets the naughty tentacles for once instead of the guys. So there is that.
Yep.
So I guess that's probably it for Bethesda. Next up, as far as like press conference goes, it's Microsoft, and I gotta be honest, guys, I have seen nothing of the Microsoft press conference. I couldn't find it anywhere after the fact. I was able to find some of the trailers, but I also didn't really hear what got announced, so I don't have much to talk about. I guess for me, the big thing, like, there was like, no they didn't, was the friggin' patching in backwards compatibility, patching it in.
So, this is what I was talking about last time, where I was like, you know, you gotta tighten up some of these things that we didn't really do this gen. Microsoft got one. Good for them. And, crucially, they're doing something that Sony can't do because they said straight up, and I don't know if Sony's going to find a workaround for this, that the architecture in the PS3 versus the PS4 is so radically different that they could not do backwards compatibility. Now, maybe they'll figure out a way, but I mean, this is a way for Microsoft to go, aha, and they pulled it, and this is where I started going, oh, this E3 is going to be more interesting than I thought because Microsoft is actually bringing it. And as it turns out, and I'm just kind of spoiling a little bit here, this actually ends up being one of the weaker of the press conferences, but I was already going like, wow, these are pretty good. So. Yeah,
and now, did you get to see this part of it, Angelo? Because I didn't get any details. All I heard was that they're patching it in, so it's not even like a special hardware thing that you have to get. Like,
this was one of the ones I couldn't listen to any of the audio on, so I was relying on like Twitter and messaging and different things like that. But yeah, backwards compatibility is a thing.
Because I'm wondering how extensive it is because
honest titles, it's not everything. Okay. They said that, so they did say that.
Right after I heard that, I thought immediately that Sony was gonna like struggle to like say something that was similar, or that they would add some sort of support like that, and then they came out with like a media player.
It's okay. They had their TV moment. They were.
we should talk about that though, because that's actually pretty interesting.
It is interesting. Yep.
But like, honestly, and I know I said last episode, I'm not buying all three systems this generation, but like the last couple of days, I've been like, ooh.
Yep.
I mean, because here's the thing, right? You know, I'm a collector. I don't even know how many 360 games I have at this point. It's got to be getting close to 100, if not more. If you throw in the games that I have on my hard drive from Games with Gold, it's probably easily over 100. I don't want to get to a situation where I can't play those anymore, and so I know that I need to get like a backup 360 at some point. But now I'm thinking, well,
I am going to throw this out there. I am going to throw this out there. Don't forget they said the 360 was going to be backwards compatible. And
that's true, yeah, and that's why, because you know, and the
grain of salt,
that's compatible up to a point, yeah, because like I
expect this will be similar. It's going to be backwards compatible to a point. What they build to be backwards compatible. I still have games I can't play. I should probably just get rid of them, but I can't.
Yeah, but what I did find interesting is that like in the screenshot that I saw from the presentation of the titles that they showed, they actually also showed like Xbox Live Arcade games like Meat Boy, and that surprised me. So.
Right. That didn't ever come out on a compilation disc, is it? I know they were doing Xbox Live compilation discs at one point. I don't think that came out on one though.
I don't think it did. Okay. So that's that's a feather in their cap. I gotta say, I mentioned it. Oh, go ahead, Patrick.
As far as compilation discs are concerned, that rare retro remix compilation looks like reason enough to buy an Xbox.
You can talk amongst yourselves while I fall asleep.
That Jetpack game.
Jetpack game?
I forget what it's called. Someone's going to
Jet Force Gemini?
Jet Force Gemini, sorry. Yes. That's on it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Birday's on it.
Now,
50 rare games. Obviously, they can't license one. Oh, 30? I'm sorry.
30, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Probably isn't 50. But like the Perfect Dark games are on there. Both of them,
Banjos.
Yep.
Cameo, that actually, I saw Cameo, it's like, oh, yeah, Cameo. I love Cameo.
Viva Pinata, I think, as well.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah. Do they have like the Super Nintendo Battletoads? No. Oh, now see, if they had the arcade Battletoads,
yes,
that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I'm just, I'm not I'm not as big a Rare fan as a lot of people are, and I've talked about that before on the show.
I kind of like them as much as I like any other company, really. They don't have a special place, but I know they're good.
But $30 for 30 games for like on one disc is that's kind of insane.
That's like $2 a game, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, only Sega's really done that in the past, and when Sega did it, it was great too. It's just like gonna do wonders for everybody who doesn't know about Rare anymore because Rare stopped making games for a while there.
Yeah.
You have to worry a little bit. You have to worry a little bit about. These are emulations, and they're emulations on multiple platforms. You mentioned this, the Sonic Ultimate Genesis collection, and I didn't own a Sega Genesis, but I could tell there were problems with that. The sound was a big one.
The sound is every time they try to emulate
like that FX chip
Genesis,
doesn't.
Yeah, it comes out wonky.
Yeah. Not FX. FX is something completely different.
Did they say anything are they going to run in at least 720p or something, or are they just going to look like? Are they just throwing them up on the screen?
They didn't say any of that.
For a couple of the games though, I saw bars on the side, kind of like the NES collection games that come out though. So I think
like RC Pro Am.
I would expect that because the aspect ratio wouldn't be there. But my thing is that if you go if I hook up my Nintendo to my HD TV right now, it's going to look like garbage. Mm-hmm. Which is why I have a tube TV in this room because it's for older consoles. So that's my concern is that because a lot of that stuff I would love for them to bring out a good example is that Mega Man collection that Capcom's doing where they actually are putting them out in I think 1080p, but it's the original Nintendo sprites, but at least it's going to look nice and crisp.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that. It's a lot longer than I thought we would talk about the Rare collection.
Right, but the other thing too is even that, they say, pixels are wonderful, you can scale them any way you want, and they'll look great. And it's yeah, but when they built these games, they counted on scan lines for anti-aliasing. And now we have no scan lines. So, I'm getting a little technical, but No,
and that's why I really loved those Capcom Xbox Live arcade collections, the Final Fight and stuff, where you can add the scan lines because it makes all the difference.
They even put the curvature in the TV, which was oh my gosh, guys, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
It's really cool. I think the curvature thing is almost like a novelty. I almost kind of wish they flattened it out so everything was both ways. Man, that's awesome.
Flatten it out. You can flatten it out and still have the scan lines.
Nice.
You can mix and match the filters and stuff.
I just want the scan line filter. And I want it to look like it's a tube projection, but the rounded.
But not an actual tube.
Yeah, the rounded corners. My gosh, guys, that's I wouldn't have even thought of that. That's really smart. So. Yeah. So what else from Microsoft? A lot from Microsoft.
See, you say that, but I've got two other things. Gears 4, which was still kind of a surprise to me because I guess I kind of thought maybe they might. Well, not give it a rest, but I guess I thought maybe that would be a next E3 thing. But I thought it looked really nice. So the environmental stuff looked really good.
So I think they might have wanted to sit on it, but I think they were feeling pressure. Because I can't see them trying to push Gears and Halo at the same time. They were always staggered.
Right.
You had Halo, then Gears, then Halo, then Gears.
Which, to be fair, they are, because Gears is next holiday and Halo is this holiday. But I was surprised to have them at the same.
Right.
E3. But we've been so critical in them with the past and their focus on other things besides games, though, that I think they really just wanted to listen to all their fans and pack it in as much as they could because there was a lot of good exclusives there, and they didn't stagger it anymore, and I think that they wanted to be we have all this, but they were really stretching for, that's probably it.
But they went from locking your disc to your console to backwards compatibility.
No, I know. Honestly, and I don't want to jump the gun, but it feels like Microsoft and Sony switched places this generation. Because if you remember at the beginning of last console generation, Sony was the one with all the hubris, and they're oh, well, people are going to take out a second job just to buy our system and blah, blah, blah. And Microsoft was well, you know what? We're going to have an affordable system with a lot of games and we're taking it to you. And they came out on top, and it took Sony a long time to get, momentum going on the PS3.
Yeah.
Here it feels like the opposite, where PS4 came out really hot right off the gate. Microsoft was completely floundering and seemed like they had completely lost message.
I think Microsoft got hungry faster though.
Yeah, they did.
Time around,
yeah, because we're 2 years we're 2 years in, and like I feel like they're really catching up. But also part of that's because Sony is really dropping the ball.
Really?
Well, they up until this E3.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this E3 they won. I think.
I feel like since the PS4 launch, they have not been capitalizing on the lead that they had. But they might be from this E3 going forward. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Did you guys have any thoughts on Gears? I mean, I think it looks really nice. It doesn't really. What they showed didn't really look very Gears-y, other than Meathead with a chainsaw machine gun, because the monsters looked completely different.
That's why I never get into it, just because it looks very meatheady. I've played it sometimes, but I didn't even look at that part.
No, I loved Gears of War back when I was playing it, but I'm kind of over it. And this didn't really I didn't look at anything. Well, okay, I'm gonna back that up a little bit later. I didn't look at Gears and go, oh man, I miss Gears so much. I really want to be playing this. It's and maybe I did a little bit, but then when I found out what I was getting with the PS4, I was okay. Because
I know what you.
Yeah.
I know what you feel like when you feel like you're over it, because I just watched a 15-minute demo of Destiny, and I just feel like I've burnt myself out so bad, even though there's cool new supers and a whole new race of enemies and stuff. It's I know exactly the amount of content I'm going to be getting there, and it's not going to be enough, and it's eventually just going to lead to the same thing that I felt it had shortcomings with. But I'll still probably want to play it.
Gears is very cool, but I don't need it. When Gears 1 came out, I freaking needed that game. You know what I mean? I watched everything about that game and was I need this in my life immediately. So that I'm not getting that feeling from Microsoft. Halo nibbled at that a little bit, just because it looks like all these different types of Spartans they have and everything look like that would add a lot to it. Again, I was video only, so I don't really know all the details about them, unfortunately. But it was just enough to make me go, oh, they're really doing something different here with a bunch of different Spartans and stuff like that. So I don't know what all that was exactly, unfortunately. But it made me think, maybe I really want this, that kind of thing. It was nibbling at that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually watch the Halo stuff just because I feel like it's more of a known quantity for me.
Right,
the Gears thing I watched just because I hadn't seen anything from a Xbox One Gears yet, so I wanted to see that. Both of those are games that I don't miss, in the sense that because there's Xbox properties where it's oh man, I really hate that I'm not going to be able to play Fable or Alan Wake because I don't have an Xbox One.
Right.
But if I owned an Xbox One, for sure, Halo 5 and Gears 4 would be, in my collection. But, I didn't look at the Gears thing and be oh man, I made the wrong choice.
No. And I don't think anybody who bought the Xbox One is thinking they made the wrong choice either. They're getting fed.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got a console war.
Microsoft's big problem last time though is they just stopped making games at the end of the generation. So it's going to be interesting to see the longevity of it all. But right now, they have a couple new franchises like Recore that look like games I would want to buy the systems for.
And what I don't know anything about that. So can you give us a little?
So all Recore was really a video, but it showed what looked like some of the concepts from the game, where there was these core balls that you could grab from enemies, and then there was allied characters that had other colored core balls. I'm going to ruin this if I try to explain it to you, but people behind Metroid Prime and Kenji Inafune are involved, so there's that.
But that's a new game mechanic that I would never have thought of before. It's a sentient ball that goes into different mech type of
it's like the ball's digital personality, and you can put this digital personality into other machines, and those machines, while one might be like a little dog and one might be like a bigger like a mech type of thing, that personality goes with them. So it's the same entity but in a different machine.
GLaDOS! Oh, sorry.
There are very angry red ones, and there are nice friendly blue ones, is what it looks like. So.
No, that sounds kind of cool though, and Keiji Inafune being involved interests me.
Yeah, I mean, but that's almost like his thing is, hey, let's take different attributes to different machines. I mean, it's something. When I heard Keiji Inafune, I was like, oh, there's a sliver of the Mega Man thing in here, a sliver of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not Mighty Number 9 or anything like that, but there's some of that, some of like his thing is involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like in reverse. Usually it would be like taking powers from other enemies, but this is like getting powers from putting yourself into other objects. So
yeah, no, that actually sounds pretty nifty. There was one that I saw Twitter blowing up over, and then I watched the trailer and I didn't really understand why Twitter was blowing up over it, but that was Ashen. Did either of you look at this?
I didn't see that.
It looked, yeah, I did see it. I saw it twice just to make sure. I think they were more blown away by like what it was as far as just weirdness. It seemed like a lot of weirdness, and it also seemed like they mentioned something about you don't know who you can trust, and these are other people, and that sort of thing. Like, so the other characters were other people in this universe as well. But I didn't have a whole lot of time to
Process
catch audio, so
yeah. I don't know. Like, I get the like minimalist style they're going for, but I played a game where the characters don't have faces already. It's called Grand Stream Saga on the PS1, and it's very off-putting to me.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like I'm fully behind like having a unique art style, but I want said unique art style to look like it's actually like it belongs on the system that it's being developed for. You know, that's kind of been a thing that I've had with the PS4, like PS Plus games, where it's like, all right, this is really interesting and cool looking, but it also looks like it could have been done on a PS2. So, you know, not to say that Ashen looks that far back, but it definitely doesn't look like it's going to be taxing the Xbox One by any means. You know.
Speaking of unique art styles, though. So they had a little indie showcase.
Okay.
A bunch of games. And one of them, really only one of them, kind of caught my attention. It was called Cuphead.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like
great.
30s era, fully hand-drawn, like janky in all the right ways hand animation, but it's a video game platformer type thing. That I want to see more of. I want to see a lot more of that. That looks cool. You
showed us the trailer before we started recording, and at first it had like this little preamble with just like the characters, and I was like, Angela, what are you making me watch? This is dumb. But then the gameplay starts, it's like, oh my, this looks incredible.
And then the setup makes sense because it's the slides, like a silent film era type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why it has this weird setup. Yeah.
It looks like sick though, and I wanted to feed my like desire to see like old grainy videos that are like kind of racist, and you're like, oh, I can't believe they made that. It was a different era.
Right. Well, and also, you know, it's funny because like, not to go too off on too much of a tangent, but like, I remember on Twitter just recently, one of the lead developers over at Zeboyd, who they did like, Call of Cthulhu, or sorry, what was it? Cthulhu Saves the World and Breath of Death 7, and they also did like the Penny Arcade RPGs. He was like, waxing poetic, is like, oh, well, maybe 2D, like maybe going to 3D was like a mistake for the video game industry, and you know, we should have just stayed with 2D and blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, well, that's ridiculous. But if we had never gone to 3D, like this Cuphead game looks like where we would be at right now. I've always been curious about that.
Yeah, but I appreciate the fact that there are people that love 2D and want to go with 2D, and I can also appreciate that you have this bigger side of the gaming industry that's like, everything is 3D and big and huge and that sort of thing. So it's like, you get that evolution of 2D. Like, dude, that's why you have a job, man. You know, that's why people like your indie games. Because
but he was specifically saying like that we should never have gone to 3D games.
See, and that's stupid. I'm sorry. That's a dumb thing to say, but
yeah, I like that we have like both. Yeah. I would never want to not have one just because we feel like it's not the right thing to do. That's like saying it's not art or something like that, and not making it because of that.
Right.
But what I'm really mad about is the people who are like against 4D video games.
4D games. 4D games like Broken Helix on the PlayStation 1, which is incredible. Yes, I agree. Bruce Campbell for the win.
I think that's it for Microsoft, isn't it?
I think so. I wish I had more to say, but I just, again, I didn't see most of their stuff. And again, I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't really have a dog in that race. So, there's that too.
Yep.
Next we have EA, and I did actually get to watch most of the EA press conference at my lunch break. Unfortunately, what I ended up getting most of was the sports presentation with Hoop Dog and, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, which I don't care.
I played it. I don't care either.
Yeah, I got it for free, and I really didn't care. I played it for a match, and I was like, okay, that was cute. However, they did have one of the games that has been, like, I've thought about it easily the most out of anything that we're about to talk about tonight, and that would be Unravel.
That's the one you thought about the most?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Out of everything at EA, I think games that you can't talk about on the show because you talk about so much.
No, I'm talking about that I've thought about this game more than anything else we're about to talk about in this entire show.
Interesting.
Okay.
It resonated with me in a way that I can't even really fully comprehend. Like, I found myself getting emotional.
Really?
From it. And I think part of it was like the developer's enthusiasm and his whole idea of like the threads that tie us together. And because I've been thinking about that a lot just in general about like, when you meet somebody that's like very important, no matter what happens, like if you never see each other again, there's still that thread that kind of ties you together and it's always there. And that really spoke to me. But the character looks just adorable. And it's this weird dichotomy of like this really surreal looking character in some of the most stunningly gorgeous environments I've ever seen in a video game. Like the part when he crosses the road and like that car like almost runs him over. I was like, holy crap, what is this? Like it almost looked like FMV. It looked that good. So I don't know, like it really struck a chord with me, and I can't even really I can't tell you why, but
what the? I'm sorry. I don't know why this is even playing on my phone right now.
I don't either, but
Kill it.
I just turned Siri on. Okay, that stopped it somehow.
Well, that was your first
I don't know
mistake.
where that was coming from. I was not even playing a video of any sort.
Awesome, and the listeners probably heard all that because I won't have time to edit this.
Oh,
yay!
Shit. Damn.
But yeah, I think Unravel looks really, really charming, and I want to see more of that.
Yeah, the only thing is it looked a lot like Little Big Planet. I liked that. Like, I love Little Big Planet, but I was like, this just has a little bit added depth. Like, there were some of the structures that he was running on, the yarn, and I was like, oh yeah, that's totally could have been created in Little Big Planet level creator. But like, they took it to the next level. It's just, I could see the high influence and was like, not like it's, something groundbreaking, but I want to play it.
Yeah, and I guess I did get a little bit of a Little Big Planet vibe from it, but it looked like the platforming was a lot more precise, just from the way it animated. So, because I never really liked the way that Little Big Planet felt. Now, obviously, I can't say how this feels because I haven't had my hands on the controller, but just you can usually get like pretty good indicators from just like the way characters move and stuff like that on screen. So, that interests me. Let's see. I actually missed the Mirror's Edge part because I had to go back to work, so I had to watch that afterwards. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't even really know. I mean, like, there's not much to say other than like it's a really pretty looking Mirror's Edge. I did hear that they removed gun combat, so that's cool. Not that I used guns in Mirror's Edge to begin with because I wanted that pacifist achievement, but. I hope that they bump up the melee part of it because I felt that could have definitely been strengthened in the first game. Yeah. Also really weird, their message where it's like they're so adamant that it's not a sequel, but it's not a prequel, but it's I don't know what.
So what I got from the different things that I've read about it is it takes place before the original Mirror's Edge game, but they are not treating the first Mirror's Edge game as canon, if that makes sense.
So it's a reboot.
It kind of
wasn't like the main problem with the game. It was so short. And maybe they put like some of the existing levels in like the new game, except remade them from the ground up, kind of like Ratchet and Clank.
I guess, okay, so here's the thing is that I think at the time it was pretty short because, games were still, clocking in at around like 20 hours for like your average, action game. But I think if you go back and play it now, you're like, oh no, that's just right. Because it's about like a 7-hour game or so. And I think it doesn't wear out its welcome.
I thought it was like 2.
No. I'd say, maybe you could probably speed run it in 2. Like if you're really awesome at it. But like first time through, say about a 7-hour, and I think that's just right. So, I mean, they definitely had places to improve on that game, easily, and I'm hoping that they do that. But I'm also, I don't know, I got a little bit of a sense of that Riccatello age EA where they're trying to like go back to games. Like, I was half expecting either like a brand new IP or like a new like Dead Space to come out of there because it just felt like that type of a show.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
But it already was, though, right? They showed you new Mass Effect.
That wasn't awesome. That was snooze-worthy for me.
Really?
Yeah, well, just in the sense that, okay, they said a year ago, we're making Mass Effect. Okay? And now it's a year later, and it's like, well, it's coming out holiday of 2016, and we've got this CG trailer for you that doesn't tell you anything. And we're going to show you these characters that are wearing completely, like nondescript helmets so that you can't even tell, who or what they are. And then they came out later and said those aren't even the main characters. So, it's like, to me, there's little things you can glean from it. Like, they showed like a new Mako. So if they're going to go back to having exploration in the game, awesome. Because I think that Mass Effect 1 was incredible with that stuff. It was just that the Mako itself handled like crap, and the planets you went to weren't different enough from each other. But, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but like, when you have a game like No Man's Sky where it's literally like infinite numbers of planets to explore, just give me a Mass Effect where you give me 20 planets to explore, but they're constructed well.
Right.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
You can revisit planets.
You can make one person make each planet with like existing materials from your game. It's like something that can be recreated pretty quickly. I would think in a development cycle, as long as you're thinking about it.
Yeah. So it's not that I'm not excited about Mass Effect. It's just that thing didn't tell me anything. If this had been the first blush, if this had been the year where they said, "Hey everybody, we're making a new Mass Effect, and here you go."
Yeah.
Cool. But I've been waiting a year, and then that's all I got.
What about the new Old Republic game?
You mean the expansion?
No, isn't that what it was? It was a new...
It's an expansion for the Old Republic MMO.
Oh,
is it for the
one with the kids with the yellow lightsabers?
Yeah.
Oh, darn it.
Yeah. Now, that did look cool, and I've actually been thinking about wanting to jump back into Old Republic, but with me jumping back into Final Fantasy XI, that ain't happening. Yeah. So, it looked cool.
I mean, as far as Star Wars is concerned, though, Battlefront looks amazing. It's got such diverse gameplay. Yeah. And it was all in-game footage. Like, I don't know what more you could ask. That thing looks as good as any of the single-player games that you saw, like, we'll talk about with Sony next. Like, one of the games that comes to mind is Horizon, and it has, like, the same kind of, like, foliage. And I'm like, but this is a massive multiplayer. It's not a massive multiplayer MMO or anything like that. But it's like got so many players playing and so many different things happening. Kind of feels like it.
Yeah, like when they showed that gameplay demo, I was like, how many players are in a match? Because there's dudes everywhere. And then like, oh man, like the yeah, it's like you have like all the Star Wars toys, and you're just making up the coolest battle that you can come up with.
Yep.
And that's the thing is that, like, I'm not a multiplayer guy, but this might be that game.
Yep.
Because, like, if I can get a group together, like, I want this.
My only complaint is the voice acting was nails on a chalkboard for me.
You mean because they're doing, like, well, so here's the thing about that is that I really do feel that, like, multiplayer has come to a point where you need to have some sort of cue to draw the player's attention to certain things that need to be done, because people don't communicate well enough just in general, you know, because a lot of people aren't using voice chat or anything like that. So, you know, it's kind of like a necessary evil, I guess. Right,
but it could be better voiced is all I'm saying. I mean, I get what you're doing, but it sounded so corny.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to go back and I had the volume down low, but also my jaw was just agape. So I was more just blown away by what was just on the screen. It looks
amazing.
Oh my goodness.
They even got they got everything right. They got like the way the blasters hit the walls and like the like kind of melted rock kind of sprays out and everything. It was just like, this looks great.
Yeah. Super stoked for that game.
I want to play it.
Yeah.
Real bad.
It's a multiplayer game. There won't be that much of the voiceovers anyway.
Right.
And the hero I want to play as anyway is Darth Vader. What they're showing of him, it just like looks so mysteriously entertaining that he's not going to be talking anyway. So.
Now, I would say as a quick aside, because they actually announced this before E3, but my game of E3, without even having talked about it, it's friggin' Toy Commander War Chest.
Yep, that was awesome.
Which, Toy Commander, I think they've already done a couple of them, but I don't remember if it's a real-time strategy or if it's more of just like a multiplayer action game.
I don't care.
I don't care either, because the first two Toy Commanders were like, oh, ha ha ha. Like, well, the first one I think was actually straight like World War II style toys. Mm-hmm. Second Toy Commander was like Rambo, but it wasn't Rambo. Friggin' this Toy Commander has actual He-Man, actual G.I. Joe, and they said more toys to come.
Well,
and if they put Transformers in there, I am going to wet myself.
And my wife pointed out, too, and I didn't know this, but she showed me pictures and everything to back it up, that there's a character, the first one they show is called Sunlight. It's actually Rainbow Bright. And she looks a lot like her, and a lot of like little things that they showed around her were like from that toy line and show, and I'm like, oh hey, I wouldn't have known that. So
well, I got that
right.
Yeah, because that's kind of what they did with the Rambo thing in the second one. Was like it was basically Rambo, but they didn't call him that, you know. Right. But having actual He-Man riding actual Battle Cat, you know, in front of actual Castle Grayskull, it's like
with the little hooded goblin things or whatever they're called. I forget. Orko. Sorry, it's been a while, man.
I got a little verklempt when I saw it. When he pulled out his sword, I was like, single tear.
And it sounded right, too. He did the call-out right.
Yeah. And also, just, you know, if we're going on the nostalgia kick, freaking Platinum Games made Transformers game.
I know.
It's like it's Julian's E3, guys.
Did you see the video?
It's E3. Yes, I did.
My gosh.
Yeah.
What did it have in it that was great?
It specifically for me, it's the fact that it's Generation 1 cartoon style, which they really have never done a game like that. Like in Japan, the PS2 got a Generation 1 Transformers game, which was, you know, kind of rubbish, but still kind of cool. But this looks like the best. Yeah, and let's be fair. Like the Transformers animated, the original Transformers cartoon was not the best animated. But the actual character designs were really good. So take like the best versions of those character designs from the 80s cartoon and then give it to Platinum Games and have them cel shade it and turn it into a freaking awesome action game. And you have a very happy podcast host.
It sounds great. I didn't realize that it was cartoony.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that this one is the weakest press conference. EA's. Probably. I mean, if we're I don't get this whole one E3 crap or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, as for ones I was the most enthused over, this was the lowest one for me.
Yeah.
And it was still pretty good.
It was still pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, cut the sports ball out and that sort of thing, like just the stuff I'm just not interested in anyway, because they're going to do it. They have to do it. That's their thing. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be the guy on Twitter being like, oh, why do they have to go over sports ball? This is E3. It's all about video games. Stop. You know, they make a lot of money doing this. They have to do this. It's still a press show. It's still a whatever.
Well, and Patrick has to get his FIFA.
He has to get his FIFA. What did you think about FIFA, Patrick?
I mean, I didn't really see much new. I thought it was like mostly the same, but that's probably the biggest.
All those cards,
problem.
though, Patrick.
What they're doing with the card thing is like real. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's so hard to get good ones. It's I don't know. We'll see if it changes anything, but like they've made it worse recently when they changed like the way the auction house works, and now a lot of people are mad at it. And I hope it gets back to amazing at the beginning of like last year, that I felt like I could get anything, but I never did eventually. And so maybe they'll up the percentages for getting good cards, because I opened a pack or 2 packs every week and I didn't get any informs the entire year that I did it. And that's hard to deal with, because you can't get it any other way unless you're cheating buying coins from like the eBay dealer and stuff. But like I never even got my coins when I tried to buy them for $1. Like
that's a problem.
Supposed to. Yeah, because they shut down the market like for being able to bid that way like soon after I bought it, and then the transaction never got completed. It's only like $1, so whatever. Still, it's like the fact that I have to do something like that makes that game not fun. It should be attainable in some way.
Yeah. Well, real quick. Go, Patrick.
Just overall, like EA has that problem because we know those games are coming. That's 4 or 5 games already, just the sports ones, that we're like, oh yeah, we knew this was here. Just like you thought Mirror's Edge would be shown, you thought Mass Effect would be shown, you thought Star Wars would be shown, but you didn't expect Unravel, and that's why it made it slightly better than normal, because they almost never show something new that you haven't heard of.
Definitely. And I will say, just real quick, if they could double down on the craziness, I would pick up that PGA Tour golf when the price drops, because the whole like that mode where you have like the Battlefield course and you have like that crazy like canyon one, and if they could actually pull in other EA stuff, like if you had like a Mass Effect course and a Dragon Age course, you know, I would play that game. So
I'm glad they're getting back to that, because I have a PlayStation Move controller that I desperately want to use, and it's actually fun to play like golf games with that more than probably anything else. Plus I'm going to St. Andrews this summer, which is the birthplace of golf, so I got to get my game on.
There you go. Yeah. So moving into Sony.
Here we go.
So let me just start off. So I got home and I actually watched it on Giant Bomb because I wanted to hear, you know, the Giant Bomb guys talking over the press conferences, because that's fantastic. That's how I watched EA also. Saw that it was about to start, and I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I've been talking to this friend of mine, and like, you know, she actually watched the EA thing with me. I was like, hey, she lives like 10 minutes away from me. I was like, hey, do you want me to come over and we can watch this together? She's like, sure. So, you know, I pack up my laptop and I like drive over, you know, and the press conference had just started. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to miss anything. So I get there, and it takes me a little bit to like set up the Wi-Fi and everything, get it started. And then Angelo sends me a text that says, The Last Guardian just happened. And I'm like, what? And not only that, but apparently Horizon happened during that time too. So I missed the 2 biggest things, like, well, in my opinion, like the 2 biggest things at the Sony press conference I did not see live.
What kills me too is and this happened, I put this on Twitter too, like, so Last Guardian happens, and I'm like, man, I would hate to be the guy that has to come up on stage after that. How do you follow up The Last Guardian? And the answer is giant robot dinosaurs. That's how you follow up The Last Guardian. Because I was like, oh, that's how. It's pretty great.
And that was so cool too. It looked like using the bow like that actually was going to be a well-realized mechanic, and the gameplay wouldn't be that bad. Like, even when you played Turok, which was like the best experience with dinosaurs so far, like it wasn't that fun because I thought the AI was not that good, and maybe for its time it was, but like you didn't feel like you were really a scavenger who was like trying to shoot these things like you do in Horizon. It just like made me feel like, oh yes, finally we're gonna get to be able to play against monsters like this. Things are gonna get a lot more complicated.
Man, we could talk about The Last Guardian a bit, but it's almost kind of like a known quantity at this point.
I have things to say about it, but
yeah, go ahead.
Like Horizon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, big props to whoever let Guerrilla do something new.
Yes, thank God.
Because they have only been able to do Killzone for, I mean, how long is that? I mean, we're going back to PS2 era, so we're talking about like 12 years here. So awesome. Like, because you got to think like these studios that work on the same stuff time after time, you know they've got some interesting ideas out there, and they just don't have the chance to do it.
Yeah.
And so this is so refreshing to see them take a chance on a new IP with a company that's known for something else entirely. And Horizon just looks so damn good.
Everything about it looks good. Like, the world that they created, it's like they spun so much mystery into it. Like, there's just one scene, it's just a little thing where she almost gets spotted by this dinosaur robot thing. It's a robot, and she kills it, but she feels bad. I'm like, you killed a robot. I unplug my toaster all the time. I mean, what's the big deal? But she, like, actually, like, there's some remorse here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on with this weird world? Like, I want to know more about it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's like, so is she hunting them for parts? Is there some organics in there they're going to eat?
Right.
Like,
are there going to be friendlies?
Right,
and like for a very particular purpose, like she needed something.
Right, but then also, so like that big one that she hunts, like is it eating the smaller ones? Like, what's going on there? Like that world is so unique.
Yep. I want that.
It definitely fills a void that we didn't have anywhere else on that console, and it's not on Microsoft's either.
Trolling for the win.
I don't want to take away from The Last Guardian, because, I mean, I looked at that and went, oh, yeah, this looks good. It looks like, PlayStation 3.5. It doesn't really look like PlayStation 4. But I don't care, because I don't know, I want this.
Well,
yeah, I just want it to happen.
It's one, like, I've got to eat a lot of crow because there are two games coming out for the PlayStation 4 that I was convinced were never coming out. One is Final Fantasy 15, and the other is The Last Guardian. So, props to them. But I will say that I think the kid looks last gen. There's something about him that looks off to me. Like, he doesn't really fit into the environment. But then when they showed the creature, that looks like some PS4 stuff right there.
Right.
And also the environments, like, look really incredible.
And the way the creature can go around in those environments is just amazing. Like, you see the canine influence, but it's also, got its own, like, creature vibe that seems realistic at the same time as fantastical.
Yeah, and considering how large he is, like, maneuvering him through those environments is going to be really interesting to see how they were able to play that off.
Right.
I'm a little concerned about what the actual game will be. Like, if it's only going to be like, oh, well, I need to get the creature from here to here now.
Yeah, it seemed more like Ico, where,
the
great lack of storyline that intrigued you the entire time was just enough to play through it, like, one time, but not like Shadow of the Colossus, where you just want to scale those colossi over and over and see them up close.
I hate to say this, I hate to remind everybody of this, but these people aren't really known for happy endings.
Oh no, I'm very aware of that.
That dog's gonna die.
Something bad's gonna happen.
When the luck dragon first appeared and the kid pets him and it looks at him, I was like, that thing's gonna bite it at the end of this game, isn't it? But also, here's the weird thing is that I also felt the same way for the kid, because when the kid goes to jump that first gap and it looks like the dragon's just going to barely grab him, I was like, oh, he got him. But then the second time when he misses, I was like, I don't want to see this. And then he catches the tail, like, oh, thank goodness.
They still have it, man.
Yeah, so the fact that they got that reaction from me, like, not once but twice, they're onto something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wouldn't put it past anybody in this day and age to, like, kill a child or something on TV. Game of Thrones. Son of a bitch. But, like, nothing is safe anymore.
Right. And then real quick, because there's probably not much to say about Last Guardian other than the fact that, do we really think it's coming out next year? I'm kind of thinking 2017. I don't know.
I don't know, man. That was
next year. 8 years is okay. Like, it's going to get there before 10, I think.
Right. That's fair.
At least we've discovered it is not Duke Nukem Forever. So.
Yes. Before we move on to the next stuff, going back to Horizon, for me, some of the one of the major influences was Enslaved.
Oh yeah.
Two things. It was more of the sense of like the really lush post-apocalyptic take on things, but then also kind of the emotion of the main character reminded me of Trip from Enslaved. But that got me thinking about another game that was announced before the show started called Hellblade from Ninja Theory, which I don't know entirely what it is. Like, it looks like a character action game, but it's more of what they're saying about it and also the pedigree that has me interested. Because they say that it's supposed to deal with mental health. Like, the main character has mental health issues. And apparently they've been, like, talking to a lot of, like, psychiatrists and therapists and experts about, different aspects of mental health and mental illness, to make sure they're dealing with this in a sensitive fashion. So that interests me for one. But Ninja Theory, I feel, is, like, one of the best companies when it comes to storytelling in video games.
Right.
Starting with Heavenly Sword, which people, they get some flack for, but you also got to remember that was year one of the PS3. So for them to come out the gate with that and then followed up with Enslaved.
That hair, though.
I think that hair still looks kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, not a lot to say about it. I just wanted to mention it because I think that it looks interesting, and also, I'm really applauding any new IP that comes out these days, and, stuff like Horizon, Hellblade, Unravel, like, hey, new stuff. I like new stuff.
I like some old stuff too, though.
Do you now?
I do. I was, in fact, a little surprised by some of the old stuff that came out in this press conference.
I was so happy with some of the old stuff that came out.
I think I'm outnumbered, but go ahead.
They're doing it. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm still kind of pissed over this whole thing. Huh?
Wait is over.
I know.
Wait is over.
All the naysayers and everything else. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to be good. I have to say that. I'm a little apprehensive about this. But they're doing Final Fantasy VII, guys.
Redoing Final Fantasy VII.
They're redoing, but they are going to have to rebuild it from the ground up. And it's like, okay. I mean, people are already pointing out, like, at some point, they're going to have to voice some of these lines. And they're going to be a little weird. I'm sure they're going to, brush them up, probably retranslate the whole thing. Maybe even re-script it.
And they'd have to.
Yeah, they would. Well, it was just... I like the original script and everything. I don't want to see them change it necessarily, but I think a lot of it comes across poorly. Does that make sense?
Shit, you talking about Barrett, yo?
A little bit, yeah. They took that a little too far. Maybe.
They actually, the translation from the PC port changes a lot of that stuff for the better.
And I wonder if it was just a translator who thought this was how it was supposed to be. I mean, you got to remember this was like 97, so it was probably translated during 96, and that's right at the time when like Ebonics was coming out as like supposed as a language. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and I never got the impression that I think there was a lot of people involved in the translation. Not that everybody, but some of them did not have English as their primary language, I don't think.
No, I doubt it.
The only thing that I didn't really like about the narrative in this demo, though, was like it didn't end with like Ares and the flowers in the church, unless I just saw the wrong one.
No, it didn't. You only really saw Cloud. Honestly, the dialogue in the trailer made me think that it was Final Fantasy VII 2.
Right, that's what I thought too. I was like, this isn't a remake. This is a spin-off of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the narrator was kind of like just saying like, hey, it's finally here. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Can't do another tease like this, guys. Don't.
So, I've said before multiple times that I don't want them to remake Final Fantasy VII. I've said, one, all I need them to do is port the original in, HD format, which they're doing. Mm-hmm. And two, that I would rather them make a new Final Fantasy game using some of the mechanics and lessons, or not lessons, but like, the feeling of those old Final Fantasy games like 7. But I do understand that they kind of need to do this because one, it's going to sell a shit ton. And two, like, the amount of goodwill that it generates with the fans is immeasurable. Like if anything, like if you ask people about Square Enix a month ago and you ask them about Square Enix today, you're going to get a completely different story. So that's great for them.
Yep. This coupled with the new RPG that they have from Tokyo RPG Studios, like, just signifies we're not forgetting about the old shit. We're going to make RPGs till the day they die. So
yeah, but here's the thing: is I don't know what this game is.
Yeah,
because okay, a lot of the charm of Final Fantasy VII comes from the little chibi SD characters in the overworld and the way they emote and animate compared to the battle screens. But also, are they going to do honest to goodness, battle screen transition, menu driven, 3 people on one side of the screen, enemies on the other side, like it was? Or are they going to try to do like Final Fantasy 12, 13 on, where it's like you control Cloud and he does all this like highfalutin action stuff, and then Aeris and Barrett do their own thing?
Your fears are the same as mine, but basically I'm worried it's going to get Nomura.
Here, what I'm going to say is it's going to be like a seamless transition to a turn-based time strategy game. It's going to like be in the open world, and you're going to see your players come out from the sides or something as like the camera pans down, and then they just start like jumping in place or something until one goes out at a time.
If Square Enix was smart, they would not touch the nuts and bolts of the game like that.
Right.
They would keep it the way it was built. Materia, broken stuff, all of it. Keep the same game. If Square Enix is smart about it.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? Like, we have not had since like we went to. I'm trying to like articulate this correctly. Final Fantasy 12 was the first completely polygonal Final Fantasy that you could actually maneuver the camera around on your own. Right. Right? Because 10, it was fixed camera angles.
Pre-rendered backgrounds, yeah.
Yeah, we have not had a Final Fantasy game in that setting where it had a huge overworld where you could explore. The thought of a Final Fantasy VII remake for PS4, like those caliber graphics, where it zoomed way out, like the overworld map, and then when you get into a battle, it zooms all the way into ground level and seamlessly goes into a fight, is extremely appealing to me. So if it's that could be amazing. And the only reason why I would even suggest that could be a possibility is No Man's Sky. If we want to move on.
We can move on.
Well, yeah, but before you do, I wanted to move on in a different direction really quickly because you said something that made me, jump at the camera issue you were talking about.
Yeah.
You said it would disorient you, and that's why my favorite the entire E3 was Edge of Nowhere, the new Insomniac VR demo. It was just insane to see, how scary it was at the same time as being able to control the camera in third-person perspective with your head. Because I, like most people, had never thought that would be a thing. You think, VR is always going to be first person.
Right.
But the way Ted Price talked about VR was it actually is better in third person because you get to control the camera by yourself. And most people who can't play video games can't because they see that camera and are disoriented. But in this one, even if they're just watching you with their own and looking around, they could probably do that. Or if they're playing for themselves or you're playing, it's going to be way better because as you turn your head, it goes behind the characters and you can look at him running away basically. So you're basically running away. And yeah, I've never thought of it like that before, and it's an innovative way to do it. And now it'll open up tons of other games that could happen. I thought it was going to be all first person shooter forever, but this one makes third person look as good or better with VR.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I was actually a little surprised that VR didn't have a bigger presence all across the board. I expected this to be the year where everybody was hammering that stuff really hard, but maybe that's next year.
Yeah, I got a little bit taken down on the VR train because I heard that it was going to be several $100s for Project Morpheus, and that's like sad to me. Hopefully, I'll have a high-paying job then.
They're all building the foundation for it. I mean,
Yeah.
Sony talked about it a little bit. Microsoft talked about their partnership with Oculus a little bit. They also talked about HoloLens. That looked really cool. HoloLens looked really cool, but way cooler than I thought it was going to.
What was HoloLens?
Where you put on basically like glasses, but they're just glasses, and it does that thing where it imposes images on the glasses over reality, and I forget what the term for that is.
Like
Augmented
AR?
reality.
Yeah.
Augmented reality. I had it right there.
Yeah, I love
And
augmented
but what
reality.
they were doing was like this guy was walking around a table, and he had like built something in Minecraft, and then that was on the table, and he was like grabbing the blocks and moving them around and stuff like that. I mean, it was a little bit off, but the video quality of it looked really great. I mean,
Man,
they
that would-
pulled it
that-
off.
That would actually make me like more inclined to play Minecraft, because I think about Minecraft as a concept of like that's too much work. But if I'm actually manipulating the blocks by hand, it's more up my alley.
Maybe. I was thinking too board games. Like
You're always thinking board games.
well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like that makes you got a table here. You can AR the table, and somebody else can be doing the same thing, and you can actually be playing over the internet with somebody, but actually have. I don't know. It could,
No, you're not wrong. Like I actually think that's probably the future of board games. Like
Yeah.
if we're talking like 20 years from now, that's the way people are going to play board games. Just straight up. 'Cause,
Star Wars chess, man.
Yeah.
Can it happen?
Yeah. It's the future, just like No Man's Sky apparently is the
Right.
future. So
Why is that, Julian?
well, here's the thing, and I last year I think I was probably the most lukewarm on this game. I think you guys were a lot more like into it than I was. And they showed, so this time, like, they got up there and they actually started playing the game. Last year they just kind of showed some environments or whatever. But, they showed the developer, he got into a ship, he flew out, into a space battle. They did some space fighting. That didn't thrill me. It didn't look all that great, whatever. But then he showed where they were at in space. And then he zoomed out. Then he zoomed out some more. And he zoomed out some more. And he did that like 4 or 5 times. And showed that like all these like stars that you can see, like these systems or places that you can visit. And then he showed like the center of the universe that's the goal. And said, you know what? It's a live demo, so this might break, but I'm just going to go pick some place at random and go there. So he did that. Set a course, warped there, no load time. Just went straight there. Showed a planet like, in the, like right below his like field of vision. There were some like frigates and stuff kind of just orbiting the planet. I guess you could probably interact with them if you want. And he said like you can scan the planet and see like different points of interest. So he scanned the planet, saw a point of interest, and then it blew my mind. Because up to that point it looked interesting. But the fact that he was able to pilot his ship from orbit all the way down to the planet's surface without a hint of loading. There was no pop-in. He just went from friggin' space to planet side and landed and got out of his ship and then started blowing up the environment with his ray gun.
And found fish.
Like, on one hand,
Oh, that's awesome.
that like completely intrigues me. On the other hand, it terrifies me because it's like, is that the last video game? Like, you buy that and then you never do anything else. Period. Because why? Why
Right.
bother?
Well, I was talking with somebody about it, and they go, "Well, what's the game?" And I said, "That was my argument last year." And he goes, "Oh, so you know what it is now?" I said, "No, I just don't know if I care." that I don't know what the game is anymore. Like,
Exactly.
exploration sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
that is the
endless.
game.
Well, and then I thought, that's what I ended up. I mean, I've put hundreds and hundreds of hours into like Oblivion and Morrowind, the Elder Scrolls games, and Fallout 3, and it's like, doing what? Absolutely nothing. Like Fallout 3 I did actually beat. But how much
My
time
only
did I
thing
spend
is,
just
like-
running around doing nothing and exploring, That's where all the fun was at in those games. So this might be like my friggin' drug, man.
I like the sound of that, but I want to temper my expectations because I don't want it to be something like Nobi Nobi Boy, if you guys ever played that for PlayStation, which was like randomly generated one flat level by the Katamari people. And it was like you were this long caterpillar, but the different objects and the different planets would get created all the time, and they would just throw in the same kind of 3D models, but like a different number of them and in different places. So it was like very easy to tell that it was the same thing over and over again. But it was only a $6 game, and it was early in the PlayStation 3 life cycle. So this is definitely, eons above that. I just hope it doesn't come down to the same kind of, like, I stopped because it was that over and over again. I didn't have new things I was finding necessarily. They were just new combinations,
Yeah, I definitely echo that fear. I mean, the planet that they showed looked really interesting. It was very lush and had interesting things to see. The only thing that I would say to counter that is that the original Mass Effect had, like, separate from, like, the actual main story planets that you visited, like the ones that you could just do on side quests were almost all the same, but it didn't stop me from having a lot of fun with them. So even if I, like, buy that game and I play it for the 40 hours that I played Mass Effect, that's well worth my money, but then if it turns out like, no, I can fall into this rabbit hole for 100 hours or 200 hours, like, hey,
that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
No Man's Sky is the limit. Ha ha. Yeah.
Can you dig it?
There's no limit for this press conference though, because we're not even like halfway done talking about Sony yet.
Because we haven't even achieved their final form. No. Friggin' Shenmue 3!
Well, kind of.
Don't take this away from me, Angelo.
I'm not going to take it away from you, but I'm just reminding you that it's a Kickstarter campaign, not an actual game.
Yeah, but they just announced that they are actually being funded by Sony now, too, though.
Oh, snap. I didn't hear that.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, that just got announced probably like 6 o'clock today.
So, wait. So Sony has them on stage. Has them launch a Kickstarter on stage.
Yeah.
And then, after they raised $2 million, saying, okay, yeah, now we're in.
Did they already raise $2 million?
Wasn't it
$2
million?
They did it in record time.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's extremely smart because it showed Sony that there's enough interest in the game. Like if that Kickstarter started that night and they made $100,000 and then it stalled, they're out. You know what I mean? But the fact that they did that quickly and then Sony goes in and backs it. So, I mean, yeah, because that's what Bloodstained was doing, is that they said straight up, we have investors ready to go. We just need to prove to them that people want this. So once we can show them that this many people want it, they'll give us X amount of money. It's a hidden amount. We don't know how much they're getting. But, that's actually, to me, the smartest way to use Kickstarter if you're like a larger project. And, I mean, come on, guys, like Shenmue 3. Like, a thing that I thought would never happen.
It just seems weird that they gave that was part of their press presentation. I don't know why. Well, maybe I do know why, but it doesn't.
I think it's
weird.
Seems exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know why now. Right? Like if they were planning on ponying up some money, if it did well enough in the Kickstarter, it makes perfect sense. And if it didn't, then hey, at least they looked good, like saying like, hey guys, we tried. We let you know about this Kickstarter and it didn't do well, so I guess you guys just really don't want it.
So do you think Shenmue is gonna go well into the next age? Like, it was one of the first games where there was lots of exploration and like you could fish and stuff, I remember, but I don't know so much about it. Like,
I mean, I have maintained for years that the first Shenmue was well ahead of its time. Because it actually had characters that were real, that had their own personalities and their own schedules, and, time was a big factor. And it was open world before there was really open world, but it was in a small area. And I remember actually when I first saw screens of Grand Theft Auto 3 for the PS2, I was like, oh, and I read an article about it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be like Shenmue, but you get to drive around in cars. But then it turned out to not be that, because obviously Grand Theft Auto 3 has like, all the NPCs are just randomly generated. They don't have any bearing on anything.
Right.
So, yeah, if Shenmue can take what the original game had, bring it into the modern era with like a bigger area to explore, I'm all for it. Like I never played Shenmue 2, but I have it for Xbox and I think it's compatible on 360. So
I think
go back to that.
I think the good part here is, there's a whole lot of risk involved in pioneering something like that, but it doesn't have to be pioneered anymore. Now it's just, what do we want to capture? What do we want to make? Let's make that. It's no longer, how do I capture this? It's, other people are already doing that. Now what is it that I want to use? What do I want to actually do here? It's half the work is already done in a sense.
Right.
And I think that is where everybody knows the story behind, how Shenmue got canned and way too much money got poured into it and nothing came out of it, like that kind of thing. There's much less likelihood of that happening now, I think. I hope. I really hope.
Yeah. If they keep their expectations just so, like if they're not expecting this game to sell 14 million units, if they're expecting to sell 1 million units, 2 million, if they keep their expectations in check, I think it'll be a success, because I think that the legend of that game has grown over time. Because I can tell you firsthand from retail experience, Shenmue sold really well on day 1, and then it came back to stores on day 3. Because people were like, I don't know what the hell this is, and it just didn't gel with a lot of people. But the people who played it to completion and liked it, like me, really liked it. And then they told 2 friends, and then got them to try it, and so it's grown over time. So I think that it could be a success, but again, they have to keep their expectations in a certain area. It can't be like Square Enix where they're saying like, oh, well, Tomb Raider was a failure because it only sold 1 million units in a month, when the last Tomb Raider game sold 1 million units worldwide over the course of its entire distribution run. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you have to keep your expectations in check.
Yeah, but regardless, it's still like a AAA announcement as an exclusive, and that's already the 3rd huge one for Sony, and they have 2 more that we haven't even talked about that are the biggest ones of all. Like, at least in terms of sales numbers, they will sell more than the rest of them.
Yeah, and this is your time to shine, Patrick, because you've got Naughty Dog and Insomniac back to back.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, I want to talk Uncharted, but I just want to forget about everything else and talk about Ratchet and Clank more so than anything I could think of right now, because like those new guns that they showed off in Ratchet and Clank looked amazing, and everything was rebuilt from the ground up. Like, I couldn't believe it. Didn't even look like the same game. It looked like they were adding everything in from the later games, as well as like making the first game the game that they always wanted to make it, and we always wanted. And then they announced the date of the movie coming out and everything. It was like, it's all coming together, and Ratchet and Clank's about to be propelled into like the biggest character ever. It's going to be like Mario.
Yeah, and it's funny because I always felt that Ratchet and Clank was a really huge series, but maybe it fell off a little bit during the PS3 era. I didn't actually play any of the PS3 games. I own them, but I haven't gotten to play them. So when I saw the Ratchet and Clank announcement for PS4, I was like, I really want some Ratchet and Clank, because it's been a while. I haven't played one since Up Your Arsenal. So, like, yeah, and that game looks so bloody gorgeous.
See, I beat them all, and I platinumed one of them, and I didn't platinum many games, and it was a hard one, too. I had to beat the game like 3 times, and I was ready to beat it again, too, if I had to. But, yeah, I'm just happy for more of that.
Yeah, me too. Really excited for that. Even when, because my excitement deflated a little bit when they said it's based on the movie, because I was like, oh, it's a movie tie-in, but it looks like a legit Ratchet and Clank game. Like they're,
that was hilarious though. They were just making a joke there because they're like just such a funny company. The play the game based on the movie, based on the game. It's hilarious. Only Insomniac, but
right.
But like there was like really good vehicular gameplay that I thought, right? He like blasts off into the ship, I think. Yeah,
and I don't know if this was just for the trailer, but I got the sense that there might be some 2D sections, or maybe they only put the camera that way for trailer purposes. But it looked nifty.
It looked pretty varied, and they wouldn't be like beyond it either. They're just so creative. They want to add all different types of gameplay into their game, which I love.
Yeah. So yeah, super excited for that. Again, 2016. A lot of the stuff is 2016.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what was like. It really kept my expectation in check. I was like, oh, it's not going to be out for this Christmas. Come on.
Next year's going to be awesome, though.
yeah, I thought we said
same
that
thing.
about this year, last year though, and so far,
I know. It's like it's still holding out on us. Maybe that's a good thing. Like, but I don't want the Uncharted collection. I just want Uncharted 4.
It's Uncharted 4 is this year, right?
No.
Oh, it's next year too?
Yeah, they pushed it back and are only releasing Uncharted collection.
See, I'm torn because I haven't played the Uncharted games, even though I own all 3 of them. Or maybe I only own 1 and 3. A friend of mine gave me 3, and I know I own 1. I might have 2 somewhere around.
2's probably the best one, but you had to have like played it during the time to fully appreciate it. Now it's like it's still a great story. But
yeah, and so that's my point, is that like maybe I should just get that collection because it'll be bumped up a little bit. Honestly, little disappointed there was no Mass Effect Trilogy announcement for PS4 and Xbox One.
Right.
Kind of bummed me out.
Yeah.
we've already got so much to play though.
Yeah, and I haven't been
just mean,
playing
like,
any of it.
I know what you're saying, though. There should be something to be like, hey, just in case somehow you missed this and you want to play Mass Effect, the new one, here's the old trilogy, and we touched it up a little bit for the new consoles. Have at
Yeah.
it. That would make sense.
Because I've been itching to replay Mass Effect for the umpteenth time, and the only thing stopping me is that they're going to release this on PS4 the second that I finish this game, and I don't want that. Like I want to play it on PS4. So.
Right.
But what did you think of that Uncharted 4 stage demo, Patrick?
That's cool.
Yeah, I only got to see part of it. That was like something like I didn't even realize that it was a demo because like going on Sony's PS4 like app where they were showing you the trailers, I saw like a 5-second trailer. I was like, oh, are you serious? That's it?
Mm-hmm.
And so only when we've been like talking and I was like looking at other stuff behind your guys' backs did I see that. There was like a bigger demo and it like crashed for me while we were talking. So like all I saw really was like something that looked really like Uncharted 3 except with more people. Like he's wading through the crowds really well and stuff, and all the fruit baskets and things go flying when they shoot it. It's like it's very destructible environments, and I love to see that. Like it just feels like fireworks are exploding at all times while it's happening. And if I heard like the 1812 Overture or something, like I wouldn't be surprised. But like I really like Uncharted. It just felt very, I don't know, fireworky.
Hollywood.
And like, yeah.
It's like a Hollywood blockbuster.
It's funny you brought that up, Patrick, because when I was watching it on the Giant Bomb feed, like one of them did say, and it makes a lot of sense, is that I think it was Brad that said, this looks really awesome until you screw it up and then you have to do it again. You know, like if you turn right instead of left when you're supposed to and you crash, because it was like a car chase at the end, and then you have to reload a checkpoint, and then it kind of breaks that whole momentum and the really cool action sense of it.
I saw the beginning of when he got into the buggy, and like that car looks like it handles really well. It looked like it had some weight to it, and like something flapping in the wind, kind of like I felt like real speed there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it looks really good. I mean, as someone who's not, I can't say I'm an Uncharted fan because I haven't played them. I've followed them. You know, it definitely looks interesting. I don't know if it's one that I can jump into having not played the others, but.
Oh, sure. I'm sure it's like just a solo story in addition. You'll like find out like secrets that you won't realize are secrets, but like there'll be like a great story regardless. And it's going to be, you know, the biggest blockbuster with the biggest set pieces this side of Call of Duty. So.
Yeah. So I think that's got Sony. We're actually running a little long, so we'll have to go through this stuff a little quicker. The only thing I want to say about the Ubisoft press conference is that South Park: The Stick of Truth is getting a sequel.
Figured you'd like that.
Holy crap. And it's the actual sequel that I said they should make, which is, hey guys, let's just do Coon and Friends. Do the superhero angle this time, and that's what they're doing.
Nice.
So good.
They're smart.
I don't know if you guys watched the trailer, but it's hilarious because they actually set out to do a sequel to Stick of Truth. They're actually playing, you know, as the Lord of the Rings style characters again, and then Butter shows up as Dr. Chaos or Professor Chaos, and Carmen's like, "Oh, hold on, guys, hold on, change clothes. We're playing superheroes. We're not doing the fantasy thing anymore. I was like, yes.
It's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't even see the Ubisoft one, so couldn't tell you anything.
It's just like bringing your imagination to life again, except like you see it through the kids.
Yeah, and those have been some of my favorite episodes of the show, have been when they are unabashedly being kids, and you remember it's like, oh yeah, they're kids.
Yeah, They just swear a shit ton.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Assassin's Creed exists, so whatever. Like,
yeah, I don't even care
Right.
at this point. I'm so burnt out on. I just want to watch a YouTube video where it shows like the 10 minutes of storyline that I need to know.
right, and then decide when you want to jump back in.
Yeah.
I keep deciding when I want to jump back into Nintendo. I think that they're showing, and again, I didn't get to watch this stuff as it happened. I just watched a lot of the trailers afterwards. I think I'm probably more up on their stuff than I got from just Twitter impressions. But I got to lead with the first thing that I watched, which is that stupid Metroid game for 3DS.
Yeah.
We've been clamoring for Metroid for I don't know how long.
Since Metroid Prime 3.
Yeah, because even Other M was not really what people wanted.
Sure wasn't.
And this it's Metroid Prime Federation Force. And
that's also a dumb name? I'm sorry?
It's a dumb name. It looks like the character designs look like N64 era.
Mm-hmm.
It looks to me as if it was designed by a company that knows nothing of Metroid and just heard the name and saw a screenshot one time.
I gotta
It's
say,
a
I was
robot
really
with an arm
let down.
cannon. How about more
with
robots with arm cannons? We'll make that a game.
I feel like it's a given that you can use Metroid to be almost a direct competitor to like a Halo, because it's the same kind of spacey shooting thing, but like it's better because it's got more strategy and elements of exploration involved that Halo could never have. So it like could even sell more because it's like better, more diverse gameplay, but they don't choose to make games like that.
So my only response to that is Halo is a combat game with exploration, and Metroid is an exploration game with combat.
I know. That's why I think it could eventually be better if they just like made it to the AAA blockbuster it needs to be. Like,
yeah, if there was like a Wii U Metroid Prime that was like on a like technical level of Halo, I would rather play the Metroid game because I think that's more interesting.
Imagine what you could do with the gamepad. Come on, man. Nintendo, please.
Especially.
but
well, go ahead, Patrick.
Are they just going to wait for NX though? Like, they probably can't even realize what they want to with Metroid right now, and there's no telling how soon that next console is coming that they've announced it already. Like,
well, and there's the added problem of the fact that Metroid has never been a popular franchise in Japan.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing is that the home office doesn't have much confidence in the series because you bring up Metroid to anybody that grew up in Japan, they're like, what? It was that disc game, right? That some people liked. And there's no affinity for it. So that's a big problem. Like, that's also the reason why, like, Punch-Out gets short shrift a lot, because Punch-Out didn't do well in Japan either. So, you know, they bring it, they trot it out every once in a while. You get some fan service, but that's about it. So, but I really think that, honestly, like, I was hoping for a 3DS game. Straight up. I was hoping for a Metroid on 3DS. But what I was hoping for was a game in the vein of, Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds, where they're like, hey, let's reimagine a Super Nintendo version of it, but on the 3DS and do some really nifty things with it, and hey, this is going to be fantastic. And this is not that. So, just want to get that out of the way before we talk about some other Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't really seem to have that many big reveals like everything else. I'm really let down by them.
I do like that 3DS got some love this time, because last year 3DS didn't really have anything at their initial presentation. So even though I didn't like the Metroid game, that Zelda game, Angelo, looks like something that's like made for your family.
We've had some of the best / worst times with like the 4-sword thing. Because at one point I thought the children might kill each other. But yeah, there's been a lot of fun with those games, and there's a lot of potential fun with this one. But I always, this is what kind of led me to that joke where it's like, I think Nintendo has this sort of a mean streak to them, like a sinister thing.
Oh, they do.
I remember my brother and I getting in fights over Mario 3, like who gets the mushroom house, because after you beat the level, it opens the path to the little mushroom house. But then it's the next player's turn. They can just waddle up there and get it. So, I mean, that happened more than once, and we got pretty... Anyway.
I call New Super Mario Brothers the marriage breaking up game. Because you play that as a couple, and unless your bond is very strong, you're gonna have a fight at some point.
My wife and I played that when we were dating, and it ended up pretty well.
Yeah, it depends how good a gamer each of you are. Like, if you both have like big egos, neither of you can tear down, then it might be hard to pick who gets the power up. But if one of you knows what the other is a little better, you just let them take the power up every time.
Yeah. If anything, it should be like a test to determine like if you belong with somebody or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. It was Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which I thought looked charming as all hell.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. And I haven't played actually any of those games. I haven't played any of the Paper Mario games. I haven't played any of the Mario and Luigi games. Mm-hmm. So this might be a good one to start with. They kind of had me at the Papercraft Mario mech thing. Mm-hmm. That was pretty nifty.
Do not start with the 3DS, whatever one was. The one that didn't review too well. Sticker Star, yeah, don't.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that looked nifty. Is there any love for Star Fox here? Because there sure isn't any for me.
Yes. I like Star Fox. Well, I don't know. Like, I looked at it and went, man, that looks awesome. But when it comes to, like, all the other stuff on this list, I don't know if it's quite as high up as the other games were. But it looks great. Does that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it looks better than I expected a Star Fox game to look. I am not a fan of that series at all. But I liked a lot of the stuff that they showed, for the Wii U. Ship seemed a little smallish. Like, I don't know. I'd have to see more of it, but I didn't dislike what I saw.
To you? Is that what
Yeah, that's probably a better way to say it. Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Warhawk for PS1. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. I love Warhawk, but it just seemed a little weird in 2015.
Yeah.
But there are two on the Nintendo stuff that I'm really excited about.
I think they're the same ones I'm really excited about.
Yeah, so I'll start with kind of the smaller one first. And I have not been a fan of this series because, I think it's very effective, but I had problems with the controls back in the day. But that Fatal Frame game for Wii U, actually capitalizing on that big wonky gamepad in the best way since Zombie U.
Yep.
That looks like it could be phenomenal, and the fact that they're actually bringing it out over here is insane.
Yeah.
So good on them.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't have expected that. Yeah. Looked very nice. Got the hackles raised on the back of my neck and little goosebumps here and there during the trailer. Yeah. And I was watching it on my phone at lunch, so.
Having the camera as a physical object that you have to manipulate yourself, I think is going to crank that up a lot. Because it's not like, I screwed up in the menus or whatever. It's just like, geez, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it'll work.
I think so too. Not much to say about it other than the fact that it just looks really nice.
Right, not until we actually see more of it. But yeah. It looks it's on a good path.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've missed out on the last one or two Fatal Frame games, because weren't they on the Wii? Or did we get those?
Yes. Oh, wait. Weren't they on PS2?
They started on PS2, but...
they were the Wii then exclusively.
Yeah, and I feel like... I could be wrong, but I feel like we did not get the Wii.
I think one of them was exclusive to Japan as well, wasn't it? It never got translated or something.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't remember... I don't remember if we got any... Well, we may have got one here in the States, but for sure there's at least one that did not come out here. So it's been a while for that series.
And Nintendo's not region locking their systems anymore, right? Wasn't that a recent announcement? Is that just wishful thinking?
Might be wishful thinking. I don't remember.
I thought with their next one that's not going to be region locked. Maybe it will.
The next one they said was they were looking into that again. Oh, but speaking of regions, I didn't put it on our list, and they announced this just before the show, but they're bringing Mother,
right?
The first original Mother, right?
Yep.
The
NES one.
Yeah, they're bringing that to Virtual Console translated, which is awesome for fans of the Earthbound series, but also, excuse me, I hope this sets a precedent. I hope that game sells well, and because I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know if Nintendo's translating it in-house or if they're going to like pay to use someone else's fan translation that was really good. Because I know a lot of fans have said, "Hey Nintendo, we translated Mother 3. Have it. Please just let us buy it. We want to be able to play it legally." I don't know what's going on there, but again, going back to Square, hey. Maybe they see that it does well, and they're like, hey, let's go ahead and bring out Seiken Densetsu 3 and Bahamut Lagoon for Super Famicom for Virtual Console, because Julian owns those on Super Nintendo, but he'd like to play them in English.
Nintendo actually already has a translation of that game. Like, it was actually translated, they just decided not to release it. The original one.
Oh, that's right.
So it's probably just that translation.
Yeah, you're probably right. Okay.
Now, Mother 3, on the other hand, it's a whole other story.
Yeah. But maybe this, lets them test the waters with that. Because I think the potential for translating games that never came out here on Virtual Console is a really, attractive thing to me. So. And, close out. Okay, well, I guess, real quick, kind of bummed that there wasn't, a big new Mario game, big new Metroid game. We already knew Zelda wasn't going to be there. So a little disappointing from that aspect. But overall, I liked what Nintendo showed. Man, oh my goodness. Just go, Angelo.
I will say two things. One, Xenoblade.
Well, yeah, that's where I was going.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, then let me walk this back real quick. Mario Maker looks way better than I thought it was going to. And I can also see that being another fun family game. I don't see myself having the time to really get in there and intricately design levels, but I could see my kids doing that a lot. Yeah. So that looks, and just the crazy stuff they had doing, they had footage of Mario flying in that ship that Bowser was in at the end of Mario World, throwing fireballs at an entire legion of fire-breathing piranha plants, and then he hops out of it and he's in a giant lady's shoe. And I'm like, what is this? It's awesome. So there's crazy stuff happening there. And there were power-ups. You get a mushroom, and the mushroom had a question mark on it, and when you grabbed it, instead of it turning you big, it would turn you into another Nintendo character.
Oh.
Like Link, or I forget what one of the other ones, but one of them was the Wii Fit trainer.
Okay, my interest is piqued in a way that it wasn't before.
Look at that. It's okay. Better than you think, I promise.
Okay.
That's one of the ones I need to tune out because I want to play it so much and I don't have that console.
Yeah, but Xenoblade looks great. So I'm excited for that.
Xenoblade doesn't look good. It doesn't just look great. It looks like not a Wii U game.
No.
And it's not an insult to the Wii U. I'm just saying it looks like a PS4 game.
That makes it so revolutionary, or what does it have that other RPGs don't?
Giant robots?
I think it's not so much that as it is it has what RPGs have been missing for a while. At least that's what it looked like to me. It's got a party of 4 characters. Yep. It's got what it looks to be a pretty robust battle system. But then it has some of the new stuff that we've come to expect from modern games, like an open world, massive environments, huge enemies, and seriously, I don't know what voodoo they did on the Wii U to make it look like that, but
I don't know.
My goodness,
Xenoblade looked great on the Wii. Looked really great on the Wii. So I don't that team is up to something, man. They're real good at what they do.
Yeah.
But it looked like the exploration in that was going to be at least as fun as it was in Xenoblade, and that was one of my favorite parts of that game, was running around the map and finding random things to do and then doing them.
Yeah.
So that was a good game. And this looks really good too.
Yeah, and coming out this year, which I was shocked.
Yep.
So.
Winter, right? Christmas time?
Yeah, and that's the thing is that it's this and Fallout coming out kind of in the same time, and it's I gotta devote time to one of them, and it's probably going to be Xenoblade.
I was going to say, as much as I hate to say it, I will probably get, because what I'll do is I'll get Xenoblade, because I know there's going to be a Fallout 4 Ultimate, all the DLC thrown in an edition, and I'll just grab that. Sorry, Bethesda, love you.
Yeah, but you'll do fine. We know you'll do fine.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a lot of people that don't even have Wii U's that are going to buy Fallout 4 and not even think about Xenoblade. So
yeah, Monolith needs money more.
Yeah. Are we on to Square now?
Yeah, who also needs your money? Please, because I want them to stay in business.
I am pretty sure whatever shakeup happened over there has done them some good, because it looks like they got their act together.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
You saw Nier, so.
Oh, you blew the wad.
I said that at the beginning of the show.
That's true. Well, I figured we'd end with that. But what do you think of World of Final Fantasy?
No.
No?
No.
I don't know.
I think no. Sorry.
That's
my first impression. It might be good.
So they had it at the Sony press conference. It's like, it's weird because first they show these super chibi looking kids with huge heads, and I was like, what is this crap? And then they changed into like some Kingdom Hearts style looking characters. I was like, oh, okay. And then it went back to the weird chibi characters with the big heads. But then it started to look kind of charming when they brought in like chibi Behemoth and, you know, chibi Chocobo and blah, blah, blah. But I don't mind when Square Enix takes like the Final Fantasy like style and tries to cutify it up. But so far they have not done a good job of doing that. Like thinking specifically like Theatrhythm, where I think that the actual character designs for that game is crap. I like the idea behind it. I just don't like the way the characters look. Yeah. And it's kind of the same here with World of Final Fantasy. But I don't want to also just like write it off outright because it looked charming enough to where I could give it a go. But I also don't know what that game is.
Yeah, what do you do in it?
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know what it's for. Like, is it a mobile game? Is it a portable game?
I don't know.
Is it a downloadable game for console? I don't know what it is.
I don't know either. I know I'm
with Final Fantasy
I think
coming to iOS. I mean, like, it seems like anything's possible.
Yeah.
I think part of it, too, is, like, the narration, the voiceover of it, over it, both times I saw the announcement for it, just made it sound, it didn't make it sound cute, it made it sound juvenile.
Right, and it could be. It could very well be.
Yep. And that would be disinteresting to me. You know, I'm okay with cute and innocent and fun, but the juvenile is a whole other thing. Like, I don't often call games that, honestly.
That's probably one of their big problems in not selling more games, though, like appealing to younger kids, because I know that even the ones that I teach, like, don't play those kind of games because they're a little too complicated for them, like, to plan all that attacking out and stuff. They just, like, want the more direct action. So maybe it'll, like, make a kid think at an earlier age, hey, what's this? Like, just by liking the weird chibi style and a little bit more of a novice kind of gameplay.
Yeah, it could be like what they did back in the Super Nintendo days with Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which was specifically designed to be an easier to access role-playing game to get people interested in the Final Fantasy franchise.
Right.
And, you know, it's fine for what it is. I bought it, I played it, I liked it, but, you know, it's not Final Fantasy 4 or 6.
No. It's very simple. Music is great, though.
Yeah, it is. Music is also great in the Kingdom Hearts series, which we saw some actual honest-to-goodness gameplay, which shocked the hell out of me, because when they announced it last year, they quickly said afterwards, oh, well, we probably showed that too soon, you know, because it's a Nomura joint, and you know how he is. But they actually had a pretty good amount of gameplay in there, and maybe that game's coming sooner than we think. Maybe they realize that, hey, we need to, like, get off of our butts and actually produce these games and get them launched and not just, you know, iterate on them for 8 years.
Right.
Nomura. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Not much to say about it other than it looks really nice. I skipped Kingdom Hearts 2, so that bothers me because that story's gotten so convoluted in such a rapid fashion that I don't even know if I can play Kingdom Hearts 3. But I want to.
Yeah. It is like the most un-Disney Disney game ever in that regard. Like, Disney stories are normally very cut and dry, and this is just like, what's even going on anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, anyway.
And Angela, I know, but the thing is, with them blending in more Final Fantasy stuff, I mean, I know that you can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 3 because of the possibility of being able to interact with Sora and Vanille.
Yeah, Vanille's in it?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, if they're going to put a new Final Fantasy character in there, it would probably be from 13, so.
And it would probably be Lightning.
And probably, yeah, but fingers crossed for Vanille.
Well, I'd rather see, yeah. Anyway.
No, I know you loathe her.
I don't loathe her. She's just not my favorite at all. Sarah wasn't. I don't know. I'd rather see Sarah in there than Vanille, personally. But whatever.
Yeah. So
where are we at?
I mean, I don't have anything to say about Star Ocean 5, but you guys have put it on the list.
Because there's Star Ocean fans out there, and I think it's cool that they're still doing Star Ocean. Like, this is just one of those games that they've kept alive as kind of like, one of their long-running franchises. And I mean, they picked it up, and there was only like 2 or 3 games to it. Now we're up to 5. So they've made it another. They're making it, I think, another one of their flagships, even though it's a little more of a niche one, in my opinion. And the series definitely has its fans. They're kind of. It's so weird because the game started off as very similar to like the Tales games, and then they kind of went their separate ways in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only played those earlier ones, like on the PlayStation 2. Well, it was PlayStation 1 games, but I played it on the PS2.
Yeah, there's
and like
Nintendo
getting
one, yeah.
a copy was kind of hard even. So it was like you only even knew about it if you like really looked deep into the used games at some point when I was trying to find like RPGs, like during just, a couple of years after it probably came out. So to pick up that franchise and make it what it is today is pretty awesome. I just don't have the time to play it, even though I love that story. Like it had its own quirks to it, but it's not like, something groundbreaking that has gameplay elements you'll not find anywhere else. Like,
yeah,
it's fun though.
Yeah, and I mean, I like it's anime, Character designs are very anime. I like them personally. There's something, Same thing with the new Tales game. What's that?
Well, I was going to say, honestly, at this point, it's refreshing for me to see anime-inspired characters because they've gone so realistic. And I've said this for a while, but like, I would not mind seeing a Final Fantasy game that, tries to make characters look less realistic. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to see some games still doing that.
Yeah, I like what I saw of the character designs in Star Ocean 5. I like what I saw in the new Tales games that they announced recently. They announced a new Tales one. That looks cool too. So we're getting that. We're getting Japan's coming back.
A little bit. Yeah.
Good.
And I've actually got some words for this last one, but Angelo.
Don't you dare.
take. No, it's not. Just take the stage. And I'll
so here's the thing. I'm looking at this thinking, how did this, or even why did this even happen? Like, you couldn't have even had me predicting that there would be a Nier 2. No idea. Like, the ending of Nier is pretty airtight. And it was a spin-off of Drakengard 2, of one ending of Drakengard 2, and that was kind of like the end of it. Then they're doing a Nier 2, and I'm like, oh man, part of me just wants to know, how are they going to retcon this? Or maybe it's a spin-off of Drakengard 3? I'm really curious, but man, that reveal was just, I was sitting there, there's nothing to this. It is nothing. It's not even a minute-long clip, I don't think. With just a woman standing in front of a thing, and I'm looking at like, this art style is really familiar. My brain is still not going, oh, it's Nier, you idiot. It wasn't until the music, and there's a very familiar cue in that music that kicks in, and I'm like, it's freaking Nier. Are you kidding me?
They totally revealed it to you in the right way. Like,
they did. Because then I saw it, then I was like, oh my gosh, that character is like, I don't think it's Kanye, but it looks like her. Oh man. What is this? Show me more.
I'm going to put it at the end of this episode as like the outro, but like I can imagine that your reaction was like the greatest fan reaction to the Final Fantasy VII remake announcement, which you'll just have to listen to the end to hear. But
Yeah.
Like I can just like when you texted me that, I was like, oh my goodness, Angelo just exploded in his pants.
Just in my past.
Like
I was at work and I'm like trying to like behave myself so I don't like make a scene.
You start pacing.
I started tapping my feet very rapidly under my desk, like I was playing double bass at work or something. So it's interesting.
So here's the thing, Angelo, I'm happy for you, because I think that's cool that you're getting a new Nier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I understand, the director of Nier is also the director of Drakengard.
Yes.
Correct. So there were three Drakengard games, right?
Yes.
And then Nier.
Mm-hmm. Two Drakengard games.
Two Drakengard,
right.
Nier, Drakengard 3. Now Nier 2.
Mm-hmm.
So those games, by and large, have not sold well. And here's my thing.
That's why I'm
here's
saying
my thing.
Chris is
Right.
coming.
I don't understand how he gets to make all of these
Uh-oh.
when Square has all these other franchises that are much more beloved that people have been clamoring for years to come
Chrono
back.
Trigger.
Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, friggin' like, don't forget they have Enix.
They're making
So-
a lot of games.
So they haven't made a good Mana game in a long time.
But they're on your cell phone.
Okay, but okay, Vagrant Story. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
go
yeah,
esoteric.
yeah.
Let's get really crazy. But Parasite Eve.
Parasite
okay?
Eve, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my only thing is, and this is
They
the only
could
way.
make one of those fighting games again, like
I
Air
thought about that, but that's a little bit too crazy in this day and age.
Air Guys.
Toe ball. But no, it's like, so here's the only way that I can really illustrate this properly.
Bushido.
Darkhawk is one of my favorite Marvel comics of the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It ended. He's never had another shot. He's never gotten another series since the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
She-Hulk has had at least 4 failed series in the last 10 years.
Mm.
She always gets another go. Darkhawk has never gotten another shot. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, but I think, okay, so here's my speculation. I think maybe Square Enix looked at the other games and was like, man, if they just had good gameplay, they have the whole package other than that. The writing is amazing. The characters are amazing. The story is amazing, and the music is amazing. The only thing that's missing is the game part of it. You know what I mean? Like, they can even craft, like, here's how we want the game to work. Here's how we want these things to go. But the execution is just off. Now you've got Platinum involved. So you've got all those same key players, and they're like, oh, here's what we'll do. We'll take all this stuff that already works. We'll plug Platinum into the mix, and now we've got a good title. And I think that's what happened.
Okay.
So,
I see. I didn't know they were involved, so that's interesting. Okay.
yeah, could you imagine? Now picture Nier, like the original one, but with platinum level graphics and action. Now
I really
you
can't
got a
picture
game.
because I've never seen Nier, but okay.
Oh, Nier's ugly. It looks like a PS2 game.
Julian, what was the name of that guy again? Darkhawk?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna bring him back for you someday.
The thing is that when his series ended, he was basically the Green Lantern of the Marvel Universe in the sense that his imagination fueled his powers.
Mm-hmm.
So he could kind of do anything, and then they never did anything with that. So I'm just very salty about it. But, no, I mean, that's cool. And also, just a real quick aside before we close out, I like the fact that Platinum seems to be, they're becoming kind of like a developer for hire, like kind of like mercenary style, because that allows them to bring money in. Because let's face it, their personal games don't sell all that well, but I want them to keep making video games. So if they have to make The Legend of Korra and Transformers Devastation and stuff for Square Enix, I'm all for it, you know, because that means that every once in a while we get a new Bayonetta or what have you. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, the Metal Gear Rising guys are involved in this too. It's the same.
Man, if they'd announced Metal Gear Rising 2, I would have been so
Now they're busy making Nier 2.
yeah.
I want him to call it Metal Gear Risen.
But then the creators of Risen would sue.
Yeah.
Nier-
Oh, but it's a mashup though. Both worlds are coming together for the first time.
Oh snap!
Nier 2 Revengeance.
All right, it's time to
I think
end
we're
this
done.
thing.
Yes.
Thank you all for listening. This is actually longer than we expected it to be, but I hope it was entertaining. If you can hear it in our voices, I don't think any of us have been this excited in a while. So it's a freaking awesome E3, and we've got more to talk about tomorrow. Patrick and I will be here for sure. I know JD will be here. Angelo probably not, but we'll switch out. And then, depending on how the week goes, we might have another one on Thursday. But, until then, for myself, Patrick, and Angelo, keep it pantsless internet, and we'll see you tomorrow. Happy E3!
Yeah.
Happy E3.
Never been so happy to be wrong.
Why the fuck I can't move right now?
They are coming back.
Oh my god! No, they didn't! Oh!
The promise
No, they didn't!
has been.
Oh! Oh! Oh my god! No, they didn't! Oh! This cannot be real! This cannot be. Ah! 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 Oh my god! They didn't do this! Oh my god! This cannot be real!
A little bit of excitement.
Sony just won!
We're proud to announce that Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming first to PlayStation 4.
This cannot be real! This is the greatest day ever! Oh my god, I cannot believe this!